Hi and welcome back to our course. So now, as we have installed the Anaconda distribution, we can open our very first Jupyter Notebook where we can write and run our Python code. And there are actually two ways to open a Jupyter Notebook. So first of all, via the Anaconda Navigator. So let's search for the Anaconda Navigator. And you can see it here as an app. Yeah, and opening a Jupyter Notebook via the Anaconda Navigator is actually a bit more convenient and more user-friendly than the second option, which we will see later. Alright, thanks for installing. Okay, don't show again. And here we see different apps, and what we are interested in is the Jupyter Notebook app. And as we can read here, the Jupyter Notebook is a web-based interactive computing notebook environment where we can edit and run human-readable docs while describing the data analysis. Yeah, so in easy words, we can actually use Jupyter Notebook to write and run our code, but also we can use it as a text editor and just write text and integrate images and visualizations and also HTML code and much more. And in particular in data science, Jupyter Notebook is very popular because you can do your data analysis and write your code and also use it as a text editor and describe and say what you are doing actually. And also in research, Jupyter Notebook is quite popular. So there are some researchers which actually submit their research papers as a Jupyter Notebook. Alright, so let's launch our first Jupyter Notebook. And what Anaconda does actually, it opens a local server in our standard internet browser. So here we are in our internet browser actually. However, we are not connected to the internet, so we can also use a Jupyter Notebook offline. However, there's the option to use it on a web server, but this is not a topic of our course actually. So now here we are on the Jupyter dashboard, and this serves like a homepage for our Jupyter Notebooks, and the main purpose is to display our notebooks and files in our current directory. And depending on which folder you installed Anaconda before, we can see here the folder structure of the folder where you installed Anaconda, and in my case it was here the user folder. And actually you can see here, so this is actually the same folder structure. So Jupyter Notebook actually makes a reference to our users folder here. Alright, so let's open our first Jupyter Notebook, and therefore we are going here to New and we are opening a Python 3 notebook. So here we are on the notebook, and first of all we can change the name of our notebook. If we go here to Untitled and say, okay, let's call this notebook Test. And here we can rename it. So now our notebook's name is Test. We can also change the name by going here to File and Rename. So this is the same. We can also name it, let's say Test 1. And now we can go into our first cell. So this is a coding cell actually, where we can write our code or also just text. And you can see here which mode we have, and this is now set to code. So we can now code a Python code here. So let's say we try to use Python as a calculator, so 1 + 1. And now we want to run or execute our code. And there are actually 4 options to run our code. So option number 1 is by just clicking here, Run. And there you can see the output or the result of our code is 2. So we can see here our cell. This is actually the input to our Python kernel. And here you can see the output of our code too. And now we can go to the next cell and, for example, calculate 3 + 3. And the second option to run the cell is by just clicking here. And no surprise, the output is 6. And we can run a cell multiple times, so let's run again our first cell and let's use the third alternative. We can press Shift Enter here. So again we get 2, and with Shift Enter we run the cell, and then we are selecting automatically the next cell. So now we are here in our cell 2. And let's go back to our first cell here. There is another option to run the cell. And with the keyboard shortcut Alt Enter, we can run the cell and then insert a new cell below. So let's run the cell with Alt Enter. And there you can see we have run the cell. Our output is again 2. And now we inserted a new cell here. And here we can calculate, let's say 2 plus 2. And the actually fifth and the last option to run the cell is by Control Enter. So let's tap Control Enter. And there you can see we get the output 4, but we are stay in our current cell here. So we are not creating a new cell. So we have 5 options to run the cell, and depending on what we want to do as a next step, we can either go to the next cell with Shift Enter, or we can create another cell with Alt Enter. So there's a lot of flexibility. Alright, so once we are finished with our code, we can also save our Jupyter Notebook by clicking here on the Save button. And we can also save our Jupyter Notebook here, Save and Checkpoint. And then we can close our Jupyter Notebook. And here you can see this is now our Jupyter Notebook file. And this is here on our dashboard. And also if we open here our user file, we can also find here the Jupyter Notebook file here in our users folder. And the green icon says that the Jupyter Notebook is still running even if we have closed it. So to really close it, we have to go here on running, and here we can see that still one notebook is running, so we have to shut down it. So it's not enough to just close the Jupyter Notebook, so we have to shut down it here under running. And now you can see it's black. Alright, let's close here the Jupyter Notebook, the dashboard. Okay, quit, yes. And before I said that there are 2 alternatives to open a Jupyter Notebook. So the first alternative is via the Anaconda Navigator, and the second is via Anaconda Prompt. So let's search for it. And here you can see the Anaconda Prompt. And this is in kind of a command style. So the command is actually the primary interface for managing installations of various packages. So you can actually query and search Anaconda packages like NumPy or Pandas. And we can check the current Anaconda installation. And we can also create new environments and install and update add-on packages to our existing environment. However, before I said that the Anaconda Navigator with the graphical user interface is a bit more user-friendly and convenient because you don't have to enter manual commands. So what do I mean with manual commands? So if you want to open a Jupyter Notebook here with the Anaconda prompt, we have to tap in Jupyter Notebook. And then if we press enter, actually also our Jupyter Notebook dashboard opens here. So here we can see our test Jupyter Notebook. We can reopen it. And here we can see our Jupyter Notebook test 1. So there are 2 ways to open our Jupyter dashboard. So either via the Anaconda Navigator or by the Anaconda prompt. And it's actually a matter of taste what you prefer here. And you can do whatever you like. Alright, so now we are finished with this session, and in the next session we will have a deeper look into the Jupyter Notebook. See you there, bye!